Well, thanks very much, Serena, and it's a great pleasure to be here and have the chance to talk with you. And as Serena said, unfortunately, I can't stay. Normally I would be here for a lot of this conference, but this week is Senate Estimates Week, and because of the spread of responsibilities the department has, we've already had a couple of days, and we've got one more day before Senate committees this week. But I do know that many of my colleagues have been here through the conference and able to fully engage and immerse themselves in the presentations and to network with everyone here in this room. So I'm very pleased about that. In particular, I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to be at the dinner last night, where, of course, many of our leaders were formally recognised, and I'd like to congratulate all of those people who received awards. In particular, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Ron Glanville, who won the David Banks Lifetime Biosecurity Achievement Award. Ron, my very warm congratulations, and I know of the great work that you've done over so many years. And I'd also like to congratulate Dr. Megan Craven, who received the Minister's Award for Science and Innovation. Like others, I think it is appropriate that before I go further this morning, that I do acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and pay respects to their elders, both past, present and emerging. And just to very briefly reflect on the fact that Indigenous Australians have had stewardship of this land for 60,000 years, an extraordinary history, the longest continuous civilisation in all of humanity. Can I also, just in the outset, acknowledge my predecessor, Darryl Quinlivan, who many of you would know and who many of you would have worked with over the years. He provided great stewardship to the department over several years and left a marked impression and a lasting legacy. I've said this on a number of occasions, but Darryl will continue to make a great contribution in the future. But I'm of course delighted to be here heading our new Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment. It's big, as Serena said. We have about 7,500 staff in the core department, and in the broader portfolio we have around 12,000 Australians working on an extraordinary range of tasks associated with the natural resource management of not only the entire Australian continent, the reefs and seas beyond, but 42% of Antarctica as well. So we're a department that you can see from space, and we have an extraordinary series of opportunities now when we bring together the productivity of the land through agriculture and fishing and forestry, and the protection of our land and seas through the work we do in the environment and in biosecurity. And of course our heritage as well, and the extraordinary heritage that we protect through work of my department. I'd also like to mention, and I'm sure it's been spoken about a lot already at the conference, that we've obviously come through a very difficult summer. It is great to see that we're having what looks like a pretty good rain event over the next few days. That won't break the drought, but it will certainly help the beginning, we hope, of a break in the terrible weather that many people in regional and rural Australia have experienced over several years. And added to that, of course, the impact of the terrible bushfires over the summer, which have impacted large parts of our environment, killed around 1 billion native animals and a large amount of livestock, and directly impacted, of course, on primary producers, including farmers and beekeepers and horticulturalists, our wine industry, our foresters and others. And as the Minister indicated, obviously the coronavirus epidemic has major implications for us as well. My department's been at the front and centre in supporting the government's work and supporting the community in responding to those disasters, from helping roll out assistance to bushfire-affected landholders and working specifically in relation to threatened species, but also directly assisting with the biosecurity arrangements on behalf of the Department of Health, meeting flights coming in from China and undertaking initial screening of passengers. And indeed, we had staff of the department on the assisted departure flights that came in from China and in from Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I want to bring to this department and in working with you is greater connectedness with the organisations, the communities and the industries that we work with. To a certain extent, although many staff of the department work outside Canberra, many of our biosecurity officers, of course, are at airports and ports and in places like the Torres Strait. We have now, of course, national parks staff in Commonwealth National Parks. And we have 400 people in Hobart and in 3 bases in Antarctica working on the Antarctic programs. But it's true to say, I think, that the headquarters of the organisation are here in Canberra. And it is possible, and certainly my last few years working outside the public service show that there is a potential disconnect with us working in Canberra and what's really happening in the rest of the country. So I really do want to achieve a greater level of connectedness with our industries, with our industry groups, with the communities and with the people that we serve. I'll be thinking about the best ways to do that and to ensure that, that we bring direct relationships and contacts into the thinking that we do and the work that we do here in Canberra. One very small example of that is that my executive board, the Deputy Secretaries of the Department and I, who meet fortnightly to determine the overall direction of the Department, have agreed that we will have a longer, more strategic discussion every quarter, 4 times a year, and we'll do that at a location outside Canberra and use that opportunity to engage with state government counterparts if we're in a particular location that suits, or with communities or industries based in that location. Now, I know very well that, of course, areas of the department are already closely connected with our businesses and industries and communities, but I think we can do better. And so connectedness with what is really going on is something that you'll hear me talking about a lot. It's a bit interesting to think about a department when you bring together, for as far as I know, the first time in the history of the Commonwealth Government, a department focusing on agriculture, on the Commonwealth's water responsibilities and on the environment. Apart from the fact that that makes a wonderful acronym, OR, and you'll be hearing a lot of us talking about OR and awesome and whatever. It's certainly a better acronym than when I was head of the Department of Immigration and Citizenship, and I'll just leave that to your imagination. But we, of course, as the Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment, are many things as an organisation. We provide services for many parts of the economy through our regulatory activities. We're a big regulator. Indeed, we're a big monopoly. If you want to bring something into Australia, then our biosecurity laws will impact on that, and our regulation of that import will be an area that we touch your organisation. If you want to export a lot of things from Australia, particularly certain agricultural products, again, we touch you as an organisation. We regulate on behalf of the Australian Government, pursuant to international trade and other obligations, the quality and safety of goods being exported from Australia. Or in the case of the live animal industry, obviously we regulate the health and welfare of the livestock. In that sense, we are a monopoly. And indeed, if you extend the thought beyond the agriculture side of the department into the environment department, the Environmental Protection Biodiversity Conservation Act is, of course, a very significant area of regulation, particularly in relation to developments of land in various areas. So we're a monopoly, and it's easy for monopolies to become fairly detached from what's going on. So another word that you'll hear me talking about a lot, and I'll certainly be working on with my staff, is as a monopoly we need to understand that we're in an extremely privileged and responsible position. But as a monopoly, not subject to competition from anyone else, we probably need to think even more about our service obligations than organisations that are subject to competition. In my previous job, I was in a world where we competed for work. We thought all the time about the services that we provide because ultimately that's what won us work. As a monopoly, it's probably easier not to think so much about that element of service. So I'm going to force our organisation to think about the services that we provide. We certainly are a regulator. We will certainly regulate and apply the law in a proper manner. But that doesn't mean we have to be difficult or unfriendly or uncontactable. It doesn't mean that we only operate from 9 to 5 in a world that operates 24 hours a day. There's a big job to do, but service and connectivity are two of the fundamental aims that I'm bringing to the organisation. And that's because we're a critical part of industry supply chains. We facilitate trade and market access for many of our agricultural products. We're of course a policy advisor. We provide assistance for those farmers who are doing it tough through the drought. We play a key role with our innovation system through supporting the network of research and development corporations that are in the portfolio. All of this, I believe, presents an extraordinary opportunity for synergies and alignment and collaboration and innovation to provide better services and to ensure that in doing that we're connected with what's really going on. On the opportunity side, of course, looking forward, I believe that there's a great deal to celebrate about the future of Australian agriculture. We all know the global population is increasing, that there's a burgeoning middle class with increasing wealth and exercising choice, and indeed choosy customers or choosy consumers who are keen to consume Australia's high quality agricultural produce on the basis that it is safe and clean and green. We need to work incredibly hard as an industry and as a sector to maintain that reputation of being safe and clean and green, and indeed to respond to new consumer demands such as respect for biodiversity and to ensure that our products are not seen as creating pollution or harming the environment. So my view as a department is that we will work very hard in many different ways to help industry lift Australian agriculture towards the NFF's ambition of a $100 billion sector, pre-farm gate in the next 10 years, and of course an even bigger sector when you look post-farm gate. At the same time, we'll be doing that at a time where our climate is getting warmer and drier in many parts of the country, and indeed as a department while we're helping safeguard Australia's productive and natural landscapes, our water, our oceans, and indeed our heritage. One of the keys to that success, in my view, is a vibrant, successful innovation system. And I know that Minister Littleproud is very keen to take forward further work in relation to our innovation system at the top end, ensuring that we have world-class science, ensuring that we attract investment, ensuring that we are commercialising great ideas, but also that that's being applied and adopted right down at the farm level. And no doubt the Minister will have more to say about that in the months ahead. And at the same time, we need to make sure that we are relentlessly focused on helping ensure that those goods have somewhere to go. As Minister G just said, the opportunity to export those progress, that growth will come through greater exports, and the role that my department has on trade and market access is a critical role that we take very seriously. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll close there because I know that there's many other things that you need to focus on today, but I just did want to take this opportunity to introduce myself and the new department and some of our priorities and some of our objectives going forward. And I'm very much looking forward to working with you and with our industries and with our communities as we go forward together and as we get better connected and as we develop a strong service culture. Thank you very, very much.